All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Monday Motivation. It's Monday, so it's the start of another week. It's another opportunity for you to start stronger, better than you've been before. All right, it's a new week. You're not starting over, you're starting stronger, better. You have an opportunity to do this week better than you did last week, and know that that is what is going to take you forward. I know some of you out there are struggling, all right? Let's just throw it out there. Some of you are struggling. I've got a lot of clients who are doing great. And for those of you who are struggling, I want you to understand that the clients who are doing great, they're doing great because primarily they're listening to a lot of these Monday motivations. So that helps them to really create a shift in their mindset on the things they're focusing on. Because some of you are focusing on the wrong things. A lot of you are still focused on weight loss. A lot of you are still focused on the scale. A lot of you are still focused on, oh, this is not going fast enough. And it's okay, that's part of the journey. You're going to get there. You are going to have those thoughts. Those are completely natural. They're completely normal, right? Because, hey, different people are going to move forward at different pace. And in one of the Monday motivations, we talk about why you may be a slow loser. Right? Some of you are just slow losers, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is the way your body is, and you can't speed up your body. Here's another thing I'm hearing from a lot of you new clients. Yes, the truth is, every single one of you got here through buying one of the supplements that our sales guys sell. That's how you get here. And understanding that there's a difference between marketing and reality. And the job of marketing is to catch your attention and to reel you in. And yes, do they oversell? Absolutely, they oversell. So I'm going to tell you that right now. You're smart people, you know they oversell. So if you think that the supplements are the answer, right? The supplements are what's actually going to be the miracle thing for you, then I'm here to tell you that, hey, it's time to open your eyes and wisen up and realize that the habits that you are practicing, that's what's going to take you forward. The supplements are going to help, but that's the tip of the iceberg. You got to build that foundation, right? The supplements are the tip of the pyramid. You got to build that foundation. You build the foundation by eating the right foods in the right amounts at the right time. So there is no magic bullet. You got to put in the work, and I know you know that. But I know you're also frustrated when a month goes by and you don't see any shift in the scale. And I get that. It's part of the journey. That is going to happen for some of you. Some of you are going to lose 5-10 pounds in your first month. Some of you will lose 0. That is part of the journey. Our job, remember, is to create the conditions necessary for your body to change. That is all we get to do. We don't get to tell your body how much weight to lose in a month. You can't do that. When you do that, then that weight loss is just temporary. Because you will do anything just to see the scale move, to see that number on the scale move. That's not what I do here. That's not how I work with my clients. If you're my client, we're not going to do that. And I explained that to you before in our onboarding, that that's not what I do. I'm in this for the long haul. And if you're in this for the long haul, yes, it's disappointing a month down the road and you don't see any movement in the scale, but the scale doesn't tell you the full story, does it? The scale doesn't see the choices you're making that are different from the choices you would normally make. The scale doesn't see, right, how your energy has changed. The scale doesn't see how your confidence has changed. The scale doesn't see how your clothes are fitting differently. The scale doesn't see how your meals have gotten better from where they were just 2 weeks ago. The scale can't see all that. But when you focus on those are the wins. When you focus on those wins, guess what? They compound and you're moving forward. You're moving through that valley of despair one step at a time with each of those habits that you build, or each of those habits that you create. You're moving forward. And yes, it is a slow process and it is a frustrating process. And that's why you're not doing this alone. You've got a coach there with you. You've got a tribe there with you. And a lot of people in your tribe are going through the exact same thing. So I encourage you, if you are there, reach out. Don't suffer in silence, right? Reach out and get involved in the groups. For my group, Coach Dell's group. You've got the larger group with several coaches. Get involved with the groups. Share where you are and see the kind of support and feedback you get from others who are right there with you, or from others who were there and have now moved forward. That's why you're here. So I don't want you to suffer in silence. And here's what suffering is. Suffering is chronic pain over time. So when you hold on to that outdated mindset that what shoulda, coulda, woulda happened and what hasn't, and I'm not far enough, that's outdated mindset. That's the mindset that keeps you stuck. When you learn to ask yourself, okay, I'm frustrated that this isn't going fast enough, but I get it. My body doesn't change very fast. And that's a good thing, because if your body did change fast, imagine all the kind of diseases that most people would develop way faster. You got to think about that. If your physiology changed fast, don't you think that cancer would develop even faster than it does? Don't you think other health conditions, the diabetes and the heart disease and all the things would develop even faster than it was when people spend decades neglecting themselves? Now you see why it is a good thing that your body doesn't change very quickly. It takes time. So you've got to understand that it takes time. And when you get frustrated, and then get to work. Get frustrated, then ask yourself, what's the next thing I need to focus on to move forward? How can I move forward here? What's the next thing I need to focus on? You see, there's always going to be something you need to focus on. Huh? It's not me. Don't come to me asking, hey, coach, what can I do to see the scale move? There's nothing you need to do to see the scale move. What you need to focus on is getting healthier, fitter, stronger, better. That's what you focus on. Because guess what? When you get healthier, fitter, stronger, better, you're changing your physiology. You're changing how your metabolism, you're changing how your body burns fat, you're changing how much fat your body burning. Eventually, guess what? That scale is going to move. I guarantee it. I've been doing this for 30 years, guys. I see it all the time. I see my clients who have lost 60, 90 pounds over the past year. Guess what? They go through the same process. And then boom, things start happening. And they get to another plateau, sit there for a while, boom, things start happening. Why do things happen? Because they learn to ask themselves, what's the next thing I need to focus on? That's how you move forward. You got to move through that valley of despair. There's no other way. You turn back, you're going backwards. You will never get there. A lot of people turn back. That's called quitting. When you quit, well, you'll never get there. That's the only way you lose, is to quit. So understand that when you get to these places, well, you got to learn to feed your mind. You got to learn to create the shifts that help you to keep doing the work, keep showing up, keep moving forward. Because the only way you're going to win is to keep moving forward as if you were getting great results. That's the only way you're going to win. And I know it's a hard thing to do, ain't it? It's a hard thing to do. When, you want to see that scale move, you want to see some tangible results. And you just don't. It's hard. And what's going to keep you moving forward is you got to shift that mindset. You got to divorce yourself from that scale. You got to look for other non-scale victories. You got to focus on, well, what is this really about? This is about you getting healthier, fitter, stronger, better. How can I get better? That is what you want to ask yourself. And so today what I want to talk to you really about, guys, is why you need to fill your cup first. A lot of you are caregivers, and you're just used to taking care of everybody else but yourself. You're just used to putting yourself last, and it's the old martyr syndrome. Right? A lot of people like to take care of themselves and take care of others and neglect themselves, and then they play the martyr, but the martyr syndrome doesn't help you, right? Let's be real. We're wired to put everybody else first. We show up for our families, our work, our communities, our friends. We do it from a place of love and responsibility, but the problem is you can't pour from an empty cup. You just can't pour from an empty cup. So you got to learn to fill your cup first. Right? When you constantly give and give and give without refilling, you eventually run dry. That well eventually runs dry. And that's when burnout, stress eating, resentment, and inconsistency creep in. So today I want you to give yourself permission to make your self-care, your well-being a priority, not an afterthought, a priority, the most important thing in your life. You are the most important person in your life. More important than your kids, more important than the people you're taking care of, more important than anyone else around you. You are the most important person in your life. And I want you to give yourself permission to really drink that in. And accept that, because I know we've been taught differently. We've been taught to think about other people and not ourselves. And when you think about other people and you don't think about yourself, well, eventually, like I said, that well one runs dry. And you can't fill. You can't pour from an empty cup. So filling your cup is about more than bubble baths and spa days. It's about meeting your core needs so that you can show up with strength and resilience. Right? How do you meet your core needs? Right? Yes, it's great to do the bubble baths and have the spa days and have the time for yourself. But to show up with strength, to be in your power. Right? Let's look at what that looks like. Well, physically, well, you need sleep. You need nourishing food. You need movement. You need rest. Right? These are things that, well, your body just need. And if it's not getting it, well, you're getting depleted day after day. Mentally, right? You need to set boundaries. You need time to think. You need space just to be. You need to do things that light you up. You need to make time for play. Play leads to joy. And joy, my friends, lead to those joy moments that put a smile on your face. Right? That is what this is about. You need to make time for all of those things. Emotionally, you need relationships that nourish you, not drain you. You need space to feel and process your emotions without shame. Right? You need to be around people that nourishes you emotionally. If they're constantly draining you, then they're vampires, they're energy suckers, and eventually they're going to drain you dry unless you set some boundaries. You need to get rid of those energy suckers, those energy vampires. And that's your responsibility. Spiritually, you need connection, right? We are human beings. We need connection. We need alignment, gratitude, and time for whatever fills your spirit, whatever lights you up. Whatever makes you feel fulfilled, makes you feel like I am on track. I am going on the right path. My life is worth living. You need all of this. Because when you have all of this, I guarantee you show up differently. You show up in your power. You have more to give. You have more, so you serve better. And let's talk about weight loss, right? Why is this critical for weight loss and just for your well-being? If your cup is empty, Your body runs on stress mode. And a lot of you are just running on stress mode. I'm talking with, I'm talking to 10, 15 people a day, one-on-one, then group calls. And a lot of you are just on stress mode constantly. What does this do? Elevated cortisol, which blocks your fat loss, increases your craving, emotional eating to soothe your exhaustion. You're not hungry. A lot of you are just exhausted. You're stressed out. Self-sabotage because resentment builds up when you constantly deprive yourself. You start to resent your own self. You start to resent those around you, right? A body and mind that can't sustain the effort required for transformation is where you get to. And then you keep wondering, well, why am I not making progress? Why is the scale not moving? Well, because you haven't left any room for transformation to take place. But you see, when your cup is full, you operate from strength, patience, clarity. You make better food choices. You move with joy, not dread. You stay consistent because you're not running on fumes. You're not running on empty. And that's going to help you to be more consistent. So the mindset shift that you need to make. I know some of you feel guilty about putting yourself first, but maybe you've been taught that it's selfish, and a lot of you have been taught that it's selfish, but it's not selfish. It's strategic, right? You serve best when you are at your best. And I want you to tell yourself that I serve best when I'm at my best. I serve best when I'm at my best. When are you at your best? When you're healthier, fitter, stronger, then you're at your best. You will serve best. So I want you to repeat that as your mantra. I serve best when I'm at my best. I serve best when I'm at my best, right? Because when you fill your cup first, everyone benefits. You, your family, your coworker, your work, right? Your community, because you're showing up from a place of abundance, not depletion. I want you to understand that. I serve best when I'm at my best. That's why you're here. You're here to be at your best. So, on a regular basis, really, when you schedule your week, you need to start scheduling some white space. Block out time on your calendar each week just for you. Even 30 minutes just for you. Every single day, you got to block out time just for you. Even if it's time to breathe, even if it's 5-10 minutes to breathe. Remember, 10 minutes today. Even if it's 10 minutes just to process what you need to process. You got to learn to set boundaries, folks. You got to learn to set boundaries. One of the most powerful habits that you can practice and that is responsible for your future success, you got to practice saying no without apology. You got to practice saying no without apology. This helps you to protect your energy. You can't just give, and then you're running on fumes. You got to practice saying no. And don't apologize. When people ask you to do things, well, if you don't want to hear no, then don't ask, because you can say yes, you can say no. If you don't want to hear no, don't ask. That's a lesson I teach my kids. Well, I don't have to say yes. If you don't want to hear no, don't ask. Because you got to practice saying no more often, because when you say no to depleting yourself, you're saying yes to your future self. Remember, when you say no to the things that don't serve you and doing things that don't serve you, you're saying yes to your future self, that person you're becoming. You got to get in the habit of moving your body every day. Exercise, movement is a gift to yourself. It clears your mind. It fills your cup. It builds your energy. You can't have energy unless you move your body. Your body gets energy from movement. Without movement, there is no energy. You got to get it, even if you're in a wheelchair. You can still move. You got to get in the habit of moving your body every single day. I don't want any excuse, right? You got to have a physical practice. And when you get to the advanced level, the way you maintain the results you get is you got to have a physical practice as a ritual, a daily physical practice, whether it's stretching, walking, exercising, swimming, having a sport. You got to have a regular physical practice, and there needs to be some kind of daily physical practice. You got to learn to feed your mind, right? You got to give yourself mental nutrition daily. Positive podcasts, books, journaling, affirmations. We talked about this. Mental nutrition. You got to feed your mind because you're exposed to so much negativity every single day. You've got to reverse that negative programming that's why you get in your own way, because your thought process, right? You get in the stinking thinking. And the stinking thinking leads to negative emotions. And negative emotions, well, guess what? They take you away from taking the action you need to take. Negative emotions are taking you towards self-sabotaging behaviors. While when you start feeding your mind mental nutrition, it leads to you thinking positive, uplifting thoughts that make you want to do the things. It gives you positive emotions that broadens and builds, right? We talked about this. It broadens your repertoire of possibilities. So now you will take the actions that lead forward. You see why it's important to fill your cup first, guys? When your cup is full, you will show up with power, presence, and peace. So I want you to use that as another mantra. When my cup is full, I show up with power, presence, and peace. When my cup is full, I show up with power, presence, and peace. When my cup is full, I show up with power, presence, and peace. When my cup is full, I show up with power, presence, and peace. You see how I went from repeating words to really declaring a mantra, right? I went from just saying words to a declaration. That's what mantras need to be. That's what affirmations need to be. You need to affirm them with power and emotion. Otherwise, they do nothing for you. It's just words, right? So that is what you want to focus on, guys. When your cup is full, you show up with power, presence, and peace because you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be supported, and you deserve to lead your life from a place of fullness, not depletion. So as of today, I want you to remember that when your cup is full, you will show up with power, presence, and peace, and you deserve it. So learn to say no without apology. Learn to fill your cup first without apology. Because when your cup is full, you will show up with power, presence, and peace. You can't pour from an empty cup. So get in the habit of filling your cup first. You'll have more to give. You got this. Remember, you're not alone. We're here for you. We're on this journey together. So until next time, may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. And you go out there and do something worth imitating. Catch you next time.